Justin Thomas has 3 wins this season and last month became the youngest player on the PGA Tour to shoot a 59. Thursday in Scottsdale, Justin just missed, adding a hole-in-one to his magical campaign when he aimed right at the stick on 16. This place would have erupted. It was loud enough already. Justin was part of the show in the first round of the Waste Management Phoenix Open, where it was rocking all day long. Stay with us here on Golf Central as we wrap up day 1 here in Scottsdale.
Golf Central, brought to you by Titleist.
What a day. Lots of scoring, lots of noise, lots of excitement. What else do you expect here at the Waste Management Phoenix Open? Matt Kuchar just finished his day, 7 under par 64. He has a 1-shot lead over the defending champion, Hideki Matsuyama. Brendan Steele also playing well. Low scores with very little wind, perfect conditions, just ideal for tremendous golf. It was a fantastic day. Pleased to be alongside Brandel Chambly, a Scottsdale resident and a 12-time participant here at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I'm Steve Sands. Pretty much what you thought this morning, Brandel. Good scoring conditions, low scores from the best players in the world.
Yeah, we saw 65 this morning, but I knew a low score was out there. Ideal scoring conditions, not much weather to speak of other than beautiful weather. And Matt Kuchar came in with a 64 in the afternoon.
He's the biggest star. He didn't have the best day today, but he's the biggest star in the field. That's Phil Mickelson. Let's go out on the golf course and show everybody what Lefty did in front of the good folks who have been just adoring him forever. Here he is at the 8th. It's a par 4, hitting his second from 151.
Never ceases to amaze me. Coming out of the rough, has to hit this obviously low, hook it around the trees, find a sliver of the green, get it to roll up. This is why people pay a lot of money to watch Phil Mickelson. And Phil Mickelson, 1 under par on his round at this point, would go to 2 under par and get this crowd revved up.
All right, just before he makes the turn, the par 4 9th, 31 feet for birdie. Now 9 has been good and bad to Phil over the years. Just missed that 59. This one, he dropped in there.
Well, twice he's closed out there and almost shot 59 back when he won in 2005 and back when he won in 2013. That, by the way, at 45 years of age, was the best part of his game last year on the greens. And, well, as Phil is wont to do from time to time, he will miss to the left. This one way over there. This is in, for those of you who remember back in 1997, Tiger Woods Boulder country. The boulder was a temporary movable obstruction. That chain link choya is not temporary. It's been there a long time. Phil had to take a drop and penalty and made par eventually.
Nobody's moving the jumping choya for you like they are.
Not anytime soon.
Then he enters what Steve Burkowski called on Golf Central before our telecast, the cauldron at 16. He's incredibly comfortable on this golf course, at this hole, but this was not his best.
No, it wasn't. The bunker over on the just to the left of this green used to be very deep and very penalizing. Not as deep, but Phil looking to save par here and light this crowd up and keep from making a bogey. Does what you'd expect him to do.
So even Phil, Brando, gets booed and then he gets cheered after making a nice par save after hitting the bunker shot. Okay, now Phil Mickelson is in a decent position, but if you look at the scores of everybody else, he's a little bit behind the leaders, but plenty of golf to be played. And if you think about what Phil has done over the years here, after that 68 in the first round, he's too short of Mark Calcavecchia now for the most rounds in the 60s at this golf course.
Well, nobody's repeated as a winner here since the event moved to this golf course in 1987, but both Mark Calcavecchia and Phil Mickelson have managed to win this event 3 times. A lot of similarities. Mark Calcavecchia, of course, blowing the field away several times.
We talked about his position as far as the leaderboard is concerned. He played alongside Justin Thomas, who made a nice move late. We'll get to that in a second. But first, let's start with Justin's day at the par 4 6 feet for birdie.
Well, he just played this hole beautifully. He cut the corner some 330 yards, left himself with just a wedge. And something we hadn't seen Justin do a whole lot of was miss a makeable putt in Hawaii.
He bogeyed the 8th, looking to bounce back at 9.
Again, just another gorgeous drive, upwards of 330 yards, split the fairway, hit the flag. So whether he's hitting it long or short, this guy is spot on. And again, with another look inside of 10 feet. And hard to believe. Yes, occasionally these guys are human.
Those all went in Hawaii at Kapalua and at Y-line. Now to the 11th. His third shot out of the bunker.
It's a very short golf swing. Unusual to see somebody of that sort of talent not take a longer swing and release the club and use the bounce. It was almost like there was something there that none of us could see. A bad lie, perhaps. And maybe that's why he was taking his frustration out on the sand at that point. Meanwhile, he shuffles around to the 16th hole. Excuse me, the 13th hole. Back of the green, and hits a beautiful pitch to convert for his birdie.
Now he's back to even par, and then he steps up, perhaps the shot of the day here at the 16th.
Yeah, no question. Back left hole location, and surprisingly firm this green was today, so you had to hit it high if you wanted to stop it anywhere near that hole, which is something Justin Thomas has no problem doing.
Thomas was jacked up, made the birdie putt, also birdied 17, par 18. He would finish at 2 under par. So if you look at his last 5 starts, and we're talking about some seriously great golf, 3 wins in his last 4. Here he is sitting at 2 under par, kind of laying in the weeds, 5 back of Matt Kuchar.
Well, it's propelled him all the way to 8th in the world, just a couple behind his peer in Jordan Spieth, who was 6th in the world. These are 2 very talented players, play a little different game, but both of them are hugely successful.
Yeah, we talked about Matt Kuchar. Everybody's looking up at Matt, who's trying to win here in Scottsdale for the first time in his career. Take a look at his first day, and Matt's kind of one of those plotters, Brando. He just steadily goes about his business. Here he is at 11 for birdie.
Not the longest of hitter, but wisely played this one just a little bit to the right of the hole location, got it pen high, had a beautiful look at birdie, and this is a guy who hasn't played since November on the PGA Tour, and looks like he's in mid-season form.
How about the 13th, par 5, 20 feet for eagle.
He only made 5 eagles all year last year, and has already got 4 eagles in this season.
16th hole.
It's a familiar putting style of Matt Kuchar. Presses it against his arm, forward presses, and it has been marvelously consistent year in and year out.
He remained at 6 under par after that nice par save. Now 17's a drivable par 4. Here's his second shot from just off the green.
Well, if you're going to miss this green, you couldn't ask for a better angle. Could be chipping to this back sort of middle right hole location. And he's just sharp as a tack in every facet of his game.
So Matt would tap in for birdie.
He's got a familiar sort of in and around and over the top move. He rehearses it in his practice swing time and time again. Something he's worked on for ages, and it has never let him down.
There's a good look at his putt. It's for 63. Just left it out on the left side. So Matt Kuchar, 7 under par, 64. You see no bogeys on the card. He hit 16 of 18 greens after hitting 12 of 14 fairways. Pretty flawless round of golf as far as Kuchar is concerned.
Well, you're right. 12 of 14 fairways, 16 of 18 greens. I mean, there's not much to find fault with. When you start to look at Matt Kuchar and this particular event, they wouldn't be a marriage made in heaven. He's played here 7 times. He's only got 1 top 10. Typically, when we start talking about the type of players that can play well here, it's players that hit it really high, really long, and are aggressive type of players. None of those would describe Matt Kuchar. But again, as fast as this golf course was playing today, the fairways were very firm, the greens were plenty firm, so it added a good 10, 15, 20 yards to the players' tee shots.
You talked about that long layoff. When you were playing in your day and you took prolonged absences from PGA Tour golf, I'm sure he's picked up a club in the last 3 months. What's the most difficult aspect of your game to get back into competitive mode against the world's best player?
Well, it depends on the player. You know, there are players who are very analytical, and then they come out and it's tough to turn back on the play mode. But a player like a Matt Kuchar, you would tend to say around the green, being sharp. And if you were just watching that highlight, again, that shot would have looked easy. from his perspective at the 17th hole. But you have to hit that shot so precise, and if you were listening, he used the bounce perfectly. So you would tend to think it would be the short game, but there was no sign of that with Matt Kuchar.
So right now, Matt Kuchar sitting there with a 64, 7 under par, 0 bogeys on the card. Steve Burkowski just caught up to him a couple of minutes ago.
What a way to kick off 2017, his lowest career round here at the Waste Management Phoenix Open after the layoff since late November for a PGA Tour event. How were you able to kick off the new year in such good fashion?
I played so much this past summer through basically Christmas with some of the funny events with Tiger's World Challenge, with the Shark Shootout, that I knew I needed a break, and my break happened to be early on in this year. Normally I can't wait to get out to Hawaii, can't wait to get to Palm Springs. So they were hard ones for me to skip. I was able to be home, I was able to be dad. The boys got to play basketball. This time of year it was basketball season back home. Being able to go to the games was great fun for me. And then my boys are 9 and 7 now, and they're getting into golf. So in the afternoon we'd sneak out and play a few holes as well. It was a great break for me, and nice to come out and get 17 kicked off in a good way today.
A good time away from the game to spend with your family, but how do you prepare to try to stay sharp knowing that you're going to tee it up, and you did so well here on Thursday?
I had some good things to work on this off season with my instructor Chris O'Connell. We got together probably 3 times over the off season, and I had some fun things that I was able to work on to kind of try to help me get on good form when I started my season, and they paid off for sure.
How do you keep it going tomorrow and through the weekend?
I drove it beautifully, and you got to continue that out here. This course demands good driving of the golf ball. I had a fantastic day driving the ball, and hopefully 3 more to come.
Matt, great start. Thanks for the time.
All right, thank you.
Matt, thank you as always for the time. Steve, see you a little bit later after his conversation with Matt Kuchar, who is sitting right there atop the board, Randall, with that 64. What a great start at an event like this, but look who's right behind him. Hideki Matsuyama is trying to become the first player since this tournament moved to TPC Scottsdale to go back-to-back. Hideki off to a fast start.
Yeah, I don't think that catches anybody by surprise. Hideki Matsuyama, unlike coming in here last year when he was out of form, the last 2 events before last year, he WD'd miscut. This year, quite the contrary. He comes in here on top of his game, and a lot of people would have picked him this week to win this event.
Until Justin Thomas won those 2 events in Hawaii, Hideki Matsuyama was by far and away the hottest player on the planet. So there's no reason to think that just because Justin played well, that doesn't mean Hideki can't get it back in gear, and he certainly did today. Brando will talk more about the Japanese sensation when we come back here to Scottsdale. And how about Jordan Spieth, one of the stars of the game, playing here in Scottsdale this week?
Golf Central is brought to you by the new Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X. Choose the best for your game. Shipsticks, the largest golf bag shipping company in the world, simplifying the way you travel.